down the middle. There is no peace nowhere. This group don't act like they like anybody, and that group over there act like they crazy. Amen. We just ain't got no peace nowhere in Washington. But then too, we can't stand, because the Bible said, woe be to the nation that forgets the Lord. And I don't care what, listen, you can sit there and look at me funny, I can look right back at you. When a nation forgets God, I don't care how much money they put in your pocket, after they sit up and load you up with money and then turn around and tell you that this is not a Christian nation anymore, then they have just damned this whole nation. Amen. And we are all in need of prayer. They don't need us as the church sitting up acting like we're more concerned with being Republicans and Democrats than we are with being the people of God. Listen, God needs a church. He don't need another Democrat. He don't need another Republican. He needs a son, a daughter. God needs a witness that's going to go to the world and tell the world, listen, it's time to turn back to God. We're getting off. That is not what God got us here for. Look at how we're sitting there being pacified with money and can't even speak up against the sin. Because if we speak up against it, we got to speak against the people that's putting the money in our pocket. Now, you ain't never accepted some of this stuff. How long you been saved? You never accepted some of this stuff until now. All of a sudden now, we as the church can overlook it. Look, I know some of y'all getting quiet because you think I'm going there. But look at us now. Listen, I'm a preacher. All I can do is talk to you about the church. That's my job. Look at us now. If that's all it took to get the church to shut up, the devil could have did this 50 years ago, and this country would have been burned to the ground by now. This all it took for the devil to shut up the church. He said, I don't want you to be deceived. He said, because they're going to hate you. And what I'm asking you now, amen, if we're really the church that he called us to be, then why is it that so many of us are so accepted by the world? I ain't never understood this. He said they're going to hate you, but they're going to hate you for my sake. It's not going to be because of the church that you built. It's going to be because of your relationship and your standing in the standards of God. That's why they're not going to like you. He said, we got to understand this stuff is going to happen in the last days. He said, we're going to be persecuted. And I'm trying to tell you, there's something coming. We're starting to see it right now. Did you see what happened a few weeks ago? Now, you can't get me to believe that this stuff just popped up out of nowhere. Somebody's testing the waters to see how far they can get with the church. Pastors can't preach unless we send our sermons in, and anything we preach about homosexuality and all that, they got to review that. Listen, I'm trying to tell you, you better wake up. You can just go in whatever bathroom you feel like going in, then you just go in there. That ain't going to work nowhere. But then we going to complain about it, but then ain't going to do nothing about it. Now, did you hear this? That's how bad the world has gotten now. While people in the church, I keep trying to tell you, it's like the Pied Piper is blowing that flute. And folk just skipping along to destruction and don't even know that you'll never come back. They ain't gonna never see you again. Now, whatever bathroom you feel like going in, that's the one you go in. How is that going to work? How is that going to work? So you mean to tell me you got a little 6-year-old daughter who's going to be sitting in a stall next to a 60-year-old pervert? This stuff don't even make sense. I mean, I ain't never, Lord, am I the only one that's getting frustrated with the times we living in? Listen, this stuff don't even make sense. We are going to be wiped off the map if we don't stop this. Now you trying to cut down on child molestation and all of this, but then all of a sudden now, whatever bathroom a person feels like going in, that's just the one they go in that day. So you mean to tell me a molester or a rapist, all he got to do is tell you at the bathroom door, when I woke up this morning, I felt like a woman, so today I'm going to use the women's bathroom. Listen, so you're going to give him access to all of these women and children just because he woke up and felt like a woman today? This stuff don't even make sense. This is the time that we're living in, brothers and sisters. The Bible said, professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. That's where we are. This stuff is crazy. And I'm trying to figure out now, why is it that all of these smart people can't see that this is the undoing of a great nation? It's the undoing. America's being undone. I look at the educational system now. I don't know why somebody don't stand up and declare this to be a national security threat, a national security issue. How in the world are our children going to compete in the world when the teachers got to spend their time arguing and fighting with the students? You don't see this stuff nowhere else in the whole world. Showed a video the other day, looked like a principal or a teacher opened the door to a classroom. You saw that, and a young man just came over to the door like he was something big and bad and just hit that man right in his jaw. And that's the state of the educational system in America. Why you got folk all over in other countries sitting down and learning everything that our kids will never know because they're too busy rapping and fighting in school. And when it's time for that generation to take over the country, how in the world, oh God, y'all gonna get quiet tonight. How we gonna compete in the world? Those folk are gonna come over here and undo us from the inside because this nation is gonna be run by a bunch of imbeciles. This place is, listen, this place is going up in flames and don't nobody even see it. This stuff is crazy. And look at what's going on now. They were talking about even in our community. What is it, 25% of the women get married in our community? But now they got to compete with other men taking all the men. So what's going to happen? Boy, y'all getting quiet now. 25% get married in this community. And the 25% that want to get married now, either they're going to have to start sharing husbands, and because now you got men competing to take the men. And they were teaching us not long ago. They said those that do population statistics will tell you that whenever America is not having enough children to sustain, they get with the fashion industry and they lower the length of the skirt. Boy, y'all done got quiet now. You would think folk would have more babies when they start hiking them up, but no, because they know that some about a low skirt, amen, just sets folk off. And so whenever enough babies aren't being born, they go to the fashion industry and they have them to lower the length of the skirt, because at that point, some about that, listen, I don't study that kind of stuff, but they say that helps people, amen, and that gives them that push. And whenever the skirts are lower, then folk have more babies. I don't even know what sense that makes, but that's what they say. They that smart and realize that America can't sustain if we're not having enough babies. And so they'll go to lengths so great as to go to the fashion industry and talk to them about lowering the skirts. We need lower skirts. But what about when there are not enough babies being born because two men getting together and two women getting, see, we trying to solve the problem over here and creating the problem over here. This stuff don't even make sense. It don't